There's a lot more to composition than just this 3x3 grid. And in this video, I'll give you 3 more useful tips that can instantly improve your compositions. Hey art leads, welcome to the Artwod channel, the program where we train our creative muscles on a daily basis. Composition is always one of those baffling subjects when you're starting out as an artist. You always question yourself, you always think your compositions suck, and often they do. And unfortunately, that feeling actually never goes away. I can attest to that. But there are quite a few rules that can make your life easier and set you up for better compositions. Now, when I say rules, the first thing that pops in your head is the rule of thirds or fifths. Something we've all heard of, and it's probably one of the first rules you learn about, whether it's in art or photography. However, the rule of third isn't enough to get a pleasing balance on your canvas. Something I'm sure you've experienced already, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. So the 2 thumbnail images you'll see on the screen right here will now guide us through all the rules I want to discuss with you today. The first rule being the other rule of thirds or fifths. This rule doesn't cover where you place your focal points, but rather how you divide your canvas between real estate and sky. In other words, this is the design rule equivalent of rest versus detail that can really help divide our compositions better. As you can see here in both images, you can see either a third or a fifth of my canvas consists of landmass and the other of sky. Now in both cases we have a heavy emphasis on land, but we could just as easily have 2/3 sky and just some real estate. Now please keep in mind, when I say real estate, this could literally be any subject, figure, landmass, whatever. And sky could also just as easily be any other empty space. The important thing is that you keep a nice balance between that empty space and the objects in the scene. Next up is visual weight. And to practice this, I advise you to take the word weight literally. Imagine your canvas on a scale and try to see where your major masses are placed on that scale. Now, if done right, your scale should feel balanced, meaning there's equal amounts of weight on one side and the other. However, this division of weight should be organic in shape and placement, not just a boring 50-50 division of the exact same masses. Because then again, we are creating too much symmetry on our composition and we're probably making the image feel less interesting. Not always, but a lot of the times. The image above, interestingly enough, has a bit of an exception. It still uses visual weight principles, but as you can see, the mass I have on the left side is so big, it crosses the balance scale and also covers a bit of the right side. Thus, with the support of the other mass, it actually balances itself. Now, you shouldn't always avoid symmetry. Sometimes we want to create symmetry to frame a certain subject or a person. Something you'll see quite often in cinematography with the use of a long lens. And if you want to know more about lenses, their relation to perspective, and how they can benefit your compositions, make sure you check out our beginner course at art-wod.com, where I explain this in detail. And now the last rule I want to discuss today is shape contrast. Just like the name suggests, we are creating contrast not only through value, but also through shapes. This will help us emphasize our focal point and therefore grab the attention of our audience quicker. Notice that in both images, we are applying this rule. Most elements in the environment are round and curvy, whereas our focal points are squarish and more rigid. If you couple that with a strong contrast of light versus dark, we can create a fast read of our composition without too much effort. Also notice that we can still achieve a focal point without shape contrast in the image below by making the mountains round, but you'll quickly notice that this makes the environment much more homogeneous, and therefore we're losing some of that focal point interest and make focal point feel less important. So I hope these 3 simple rules can help you create more interesting compositions when ideating a scene. Please also keep in mind that this can be really effective during your thumbnail stages. Instead of focusing on details, focus on the bigger picture of how your composition will read through rules of third, visual weight, and shape contrast. You'll quickly see that this will also expand the amount of variations you can actually create for the same idea, just by playing around with these concepts. In our composition basic classroom on Artwod, I cover these principles in much more detail and show you how you can improve your compositions. So make sure you check it out if you're a member already. If not, you should go check it out and join our awesome community of supportive students. All right, happy learning, Art Leads.